Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Sundar Rajan Sampath, CEO of Janani Foods, which is an integrator and aggregator of food and agri-related products and services. Sundar is a graduate of Bhavan's College of Mass Communication and also has studied MBA at AIMA Delhi. Hi Sundar, welcome to ELI.
Thank you, Priya.
Sundar, I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Yeah, you have given a brief introduction. Thank you very much. Basically, I am a professional in food and agri industry. Over 40 years of experiences in food industry. I was working with companies like Parley Biscuits and Concept Foods, and also I'm basically FMCG marketing guy and moved into business on my own. And I started this venture in 2003. Basically, the idea was to uh, produce quality fruits, vegetables, which are for quality, adopt technologies to increase the shelf life so that they can be exported. With this view, we started the company along with some of my former colleagues in the company, friends and relatives. As we move forward, we realized that procurement of fruits, vegetables is a major challenge. Technology is there, market is there, it's not an issue. But on a day-to-day basis, procuring quality vegetables, especially for export markets, is a major challenge. We decided to shelve the project in 2006 till we find some solution for the back end, basically the procurement. Then we started working with various institutions like IIIT Hyderabad, International Institute of Information Technology, the top IT university in the country, from 2005 onwards, where they have developed a process to advise farmers continuously, right from seed to harvesting. And that's where we joined with them as a partner and try to develop that technology. So that what we thought is that once we have that technology in our hand, we can deploy it in the field so that we can monitor virtually what is happening with the farmers. But then we realize the challenge is not just selling the advice to the farmers. The farmers also need inputs like fertilizers, pesticides. They need finance. They need all the marketing. So it took some more time for us to understand the dynamics of a farmer or a farming, and we try to bring more collaborators, strategic partners to give the different services. We started input shops. We started giving loans with ICICI Bank, that kind of thing. Okay, to cut long story short, whether we wasted a lot of time or we learned in the process is still $1 million question. But if I have not done those things, I would not have been here where I am today. Right. So the first story is passion and perseverance. It will pay off. It takes time. We did ride on the reputation of people like ICICI or IBM or Triple IT or whomsoever. All of them are our good partners. Still, they are our good partners. But we prolonged it beyond our own things. So with the result, we were riding on their strengths without realizing that we are losing our own strength as well as sometimes the weaknesses of those partners reflect on us. Fortunately, a breakthrough came in 2015 when the government of Andhra Pradesh asked us to train 20,000 farmers who grows chilies in the Guntur district, where they use the chemicals right, left, and center. With the result, the export market is coming down, and even sales are out to the consumers as well as to the farmers. So, government of Andhra Pradesh and Spices Board asked us to train the farmers. So that was the first breakthrough where Janani was in the front, and they did. We trained about 20,000 farmers in 200 villages in 6 months' time, kind of thing. So that was the major breakthrough. The next year, the farmers came back to us and said, why not we do marketing also? Then we again made a quality-based e-platform, e-auction platform, where the buyers will know what is the qualities available, and based on that, the bidding was done. That was another successful pilot. And then we have, from there, yes, we started to, from a zero growth, we are touched even 3.5 crores turnover in 2 years' time, just on trading kind of things. This is the journey, and then we are, the passion and the original thought. Export of fruits and vegetables is the core, which has come into front again. We have joined some organizations and did a lot of research and development last year, and we increased the shelf life of fruits and vegetables by at least 2 weeks, which incidentally includes jasmine flower, which can have a shelf life of 10 days more, and cut fruits and vegetables, salads, vegetable salads, fruit salads also. So we have done the good already and successful. We are now planning to scale up. And yes, the first investor has come in last year, KIIT and Technology Development Board of India and Will Grow. They funded us last year, which helped us to do a lot of R&D work. That's what the story.
Sundar, tell us a bit about the what are the areas Janani Foods operates into? What are the products associated, and what are the brands associated with the company?
Basically, our main business is trading in spices, dry red chilies and turmeric also. This is what we have been doing last 4 years. And we have our own B2B customers who include major exporters from Mumbai and Chennai. Some of the food processing companies like Priya Pickles, kind of things, and small traders spread across the country. Fruits and vegetables, yes, we are starting the thing this year. Our strategy is to go for B2B only, even for fruits, vegetables, for at least couple of years till we understand the procurement and processing. Now we are moving to more of processing, packing, etc. Once we learn it through the B2B as well as store brands, then we will have our own Janani brand of packaged, cut packaged fruits, vegetables, both for national and international markets. So as of now, we don't have any brands, but top brands are associated with us, and we will have our own brand in 2 years' time from now.
Sundar, tell us when you started this venture, what are the difficulties you had to go through while building it?
Many, not one or two. The first thing was even the technology. Right? I don't want to name the institution. We gave them the project, and then they came back and told us that the technology is ready to increase the shelf life. That's the time I quit my job. I was heading a larger organization, the national and international marketing. To my surprise, I realized that the technology is useful only at the lab level and not at the commercial level. So then we have to work on our own thing to make sure that it comes on commercial level. So that's the first major thing we encountered. Then we formed our own company, and then we brought our own friends and relatives as our strategic partners, other co-promoters. Well, the investment is from me and my family. After some time, when things are not working, they have to leave. So I won't blame them also, because they have to earn, they have their family to support. But sometimes, you have to be very choosy on your co-promoters when you start it, who can be with you for quite some time without further any other commitments from their family side, kind of thing. Otherwise, because it's not going to be rosy path right from day one. Though you look You plan everything, you think everything will be fine, which will not be the case. So that is the second thing. So you have to provide for the ups and downs in terms of realizing your own dreams. Things will not happen. See, we always, when we started, we thought that technology is important, market is important, funds is important, production. So we worked on everything for a couple of years, and then we realized that procurement is the most important thing. So we thought, in and around Hyderabad, there are thousands of acres of land, so getting vegetable is not a thing. But when we really started moving it, then we realized the procurement of fresh produce is a major challenge. The processing and export is comparatively minor in front of this. So we had to, all the efforts which we put for a couple of years went back in the back burner. So that is the thing. So you will have to consider when you start a venture, just not technology. Because I am saying this because a lot of young entrepreneurs from IITs, IIMs are coming today, and great inventions, I would say now. But they are not understanding what the market is. They are not understanding what the supply chain is, kind of thing. So it's better they look into the whole perspective rather than just looking into the technology alone or the market alone. So this is the second lesson I have learned. Third lesson is, of course, money is not going to come that easily. Everybody says startup is the new thing and this and that, but the venture capitalists or the angel investors are not going to put the money in your pocket that easily. For me, it took almost 17 years to get that first 1 rupee out of somebody's pocket. Yes, we may have made mistakes, kind of thing. There are people who have enjoyed getting funds very early, but the moral of the story is it's not easy. Yeah, next.
Speaking of young entrepreneurs, so you said young entrepreneurs get funding very easily, and uh, also they happen to make some mistakes. So what I have seen about young entrepreneurs is most of them are getting into areas like uh, internet, IoT, technology. So these are the things they go into to build a venture. But not many entrepreneurs graduating from good institutes are going into going into the areas like food and for example manufacturing. So the trivial businesses that are there, no, not many young entrepreneurs don't get into those areas. Can you tell us what might be the reason behind it? That is number one, first question. The question two is, if there are opportunities in these areas, which are those areas where young entrepreneurs can see opportunities?
Yeah. Actually, it is multiple questions for you. Okay. The
Hmm.
first one is the technology, the IT, IoTs, and the AIs and MLs. They are the new age technologies. Nothing wrong in somebody's concentrating on it. But technology, in my opinion, is only an enabler. It, it's not the end in itself. It's the product or service that comes out of the technology. That's more important. That is one area, focus area, the young entrepreneurs are not looking at it. They are very passionate on the technology. It's not today, it's there always. Actually, it's a couple of companies where I worked. The top management was very good in R&D. So they worked on R&D and D and go on producing new products, which is, the market was not existent, right? So this is nothing new. The entrepreneurs think that the technology is driving or whatever they know better is the thing, which is not always the case. So the new age technology, whether it is AG-tech or FinTech or whatever tech we call nowadays, yes, they are good, they new it, but you have to understand what is the end product and who is the actual user. and will he be paying for it? So this is one area, they are not concentrated. At least I am dealing with that. We have formed a consortium now to help the farmers. This consortium has the top companies in the world, including NEC Japan and Walmart and the University of Berkeley, California, and all those. One end. Other end, I do have at least 5 to 6 new entrepreneurs from IITs and IIMs. That's why I'm constantly talking the mistakes they are making. They're not understanding where the market exists and what is their go-to-market strategies. They have some strategies. I develop a product and big corporates will come and pay for it. It's not going to happen that way. Right? Or some X will buy and Y will buy based on not much of what you would say the business planning is done thoroughly in terms of market, price, the segmentation and kind of things. The marketing focus is lacking. That is one reason why uh, they are suffering now. Again, the second point, as you said, is more of technology, and they are not talking on the products point of view. Yes, that is true. But ultimately, the consumer, the end consumer, the market. Everybody is talking today, India, growing and growing middle class aspirations, kind of thing. But end of that, they want products, they want services. Right? That has to be the focus. So can it scale up? That kind of thing is missing. Right? And the products are important. Right? COVID has taught a very good lesson today. The supply chain is more important. More than that, the food. So back to then you have to use the word roti kapta makan. You can't be away from that. Yes. So if you have a technology, see whether it is primarily whether it is on these three roti kapda and makan. That's where the people live only on these. That everything else is immaterial, right? So yes, entertainment is required. Education is also equally good. Focus on these areas where the future is there, and develop products, right, or services, not just the technology. Yes, technology is good. See, same thing today. If you even look at the India is the IT, the brainchild, right? But whether it's TCS or Infosys or Tata's or Mahindras, they haven't brought any breakthrough products in even in IT like Facebook or WhatsApp or Google's. So because they were thinking only on the service and technology, they never thought of the products, right? So we have lessons from even the big companies in the country. So look at that and see what the consumer wants. I am basically a marketing guy, so I keep emphasizing that market is more important. That's where the money is going to come. So that's what my advice to the entrepreneurs. Look at the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sundar, while building and growing the venture, you must have recruited multiple people into your company. Can you tell us how do you select the right person for the job? What are the things you see in people while recruiting them?
There are two things. One is recruiting your team, the core team, the initial stages, the co-promoters and kind of things. You need a team. So nobody is going to put up money in your company unless you have a good team. So that is very important, no doubt about it. So you have to be very, very careful in choosing your team. Basically, let's say you have 4 or 5 guys. Everybody has one strength. One is a finance guy, one is a marketing guy, or you are a technical guy who can. So that kind of, one is back end procurement production guy kind of thing. So that kind of experience and expertise is required in the initial stages. That's number one. And two, they should stand with you as much as you can. Kind of things. Because I also seen a couple of companies where the co-promoters leave at some point before the company scale up. Sometimes it's because of the frustration. Sometimes it's also misunderstanding with the chief promoter, right? Or sometimes the family and financial issues also. So the team should stay with you at least for the first 5 years. That is what important when you form the company. The second one is taking other people, right, in the recruitments. I always believe that it should be a good mix of experience and the fresh. The experience is required to take you through the initial stages when you need the right advice or people with a network and contacts kind of thing. But the experience also has the other end where they go with their own views and things. They don't want to change that easily. That's where the freshers come in and then try to give their own new approaches. How how the market change, how the people change, what kind of products. So even in the initial stages, take people with experience and also the freshers or somebody with a little experience also. So it should be a mix, and then then you will have some stability. The experience will always, both of them will always look for gain pastures once they gain experience. Right? I have been more of a training institute for, for quite some time now. People come, learn, and leave. Fine. You cannot retain them. So you should be very clear that is human resources will cannot be retained. Just money alone not matter. Other things also. So you should have a fairly team which can stay with you in the turbulent times and also maybe little more extra than what you required because there will be turnovers. Give them the opportunity, give them the power, responsibility with power. See, another thing what I found, based on my own 30, 40 years of experience, many people give the responsibilities. You do this, but the power to take decision making is centralized. That shouldn't be there. At the same time, you cannot say leave everything to the your management team or the field team and then you sit back. No. You should have your own processes in place so that you know what's happening, kind of dashboard, what we call it, and then give them the authority, and you have to be very clear. Once you give them the power and authority, they will make mistakes. You should be ready, and as long as the mistakes are genuine, it's not intentional, and as long as they learn from their mistakes, you should allow them. You should. Somebody made a mistake, say, okay, thanks, don't come from tomorrow. It doesn't work, right? So these are all the growing pains, and one should be very careful. Don't allow the mistake to go beyond level where it cannot be repaired. You should be also knowing what's happening in the company, what's happening with all around you. Same time, give them the power to think, work, take decisions, make mistakes. People learn only by mistakes. This is what my HR experience and advice to young entrepreneurs.
Uh, Sundar, I think you mentioned you have spent good amount of time working for different companies and at very responsible roles as well. Uh, my question is, how do you compare entrepreneurship with a full-time job?
They are two different things. Somebody wants to be an employee will never come. Somebody become entrepreneur just for the sake of it. It doesn't work. The entrepreneur is it's always there in the blood. I plunged it at the 50 plus. Today we have guys from 30 plus, 10 as an entrepreneur. They change. So you have to see whether the employer mentality is there with you. If you have a employee mentality, then it's not for you, right? So an employee mentality, when I say it's not wrong, when I say employee mentality is more of playing with others' money. Employer mentality or entrepreneur mentality is playing with your money or playing others' money with a responsibility on you. That's more important. So one should have it right from the early stages. Like you may jump into entrepreneurship when you find an opportunity or when you have family and financial support to you sustain your entrepreneurship for the next couple of years. Like come what may, yes, you will have your food for 3 times a day, and your family will not suffer. Kind of. So that be given that situation, I would always say that you want to be entrepreneur, start early. Don't become an entrepreneur after you get married and a couple of children going to school. It's very, very difficult. So if anybody wants to be an entrepreneur, do it before you get into the family stable, or do it when your family is stable after 40, 50s. Age is only a number when you want to be an entrepreneur. So there's nothing wrong with it.
Who is your role model, Sundar, when it comes to entrepreneurship?
Role model as an entrepreneur, no, because I was an employee for quite some time, right? So I have worked. I started from a very scratch and moved up to the top levels. So I have worked at different levels. So I have quite a few bosses, right? In my early stage, somebody has taught me on communication. Somebody has taught me on what business is, how to run a business. So I worked in a Marwari company to an MNC, right? So the role models are more for me in terms of management than as an entrepreneur, because the entrepreneur was there in within me. Right? Nobody, so he is successful as a business, so I want to be a businessman. No, that was that I never had a role model, but I do have role models, my gurus in terms of how to manage people, how to manage, how to do marketing, how to do sales, how to recruit people, how to retain talent, the training, all those things over a period of years. So all my bosses, and I also learned from my team. I was leading a team, 400, 500 people. So I learned from the team of some of the youngsters. That's what I learned. The youngsters have the good ideas. So those are the things which I learned in my employee era. I brought it as an entrepreneur.
Okay. Sundar, I am done with my questions and we are almost up with the interview. What would be your final message to potential entrepreneurs of this country?
COVID has thrown this open now. Whatever, whoever says whatever it is, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, India is going to be a big, big force. Be it technology, be it exports, be it production, manufacturing. See it. See what is going to be the world 3 years down the line, what is going to be India's strength and weaknesses. The China situation has really thrown a lot of opportunities. Unfortunately, the government is also taking advantage of all the things and trying to support the entrepreneurship or the industry with a lot of schemes coming. Early stage, I don't want to comment on whatever the government is announcing now. We have to see it on the ground level. But prima facie, this is what is required. Like how the bureaucracy is going to implement is $1 million question. Otherwise, the policies are in the right direction. Whoever wants to be an entrepreneur or whoever is in the early stage of entrepreneurship should take advantage of it. This is the right time. India is in the right path to growing. Growth is, yes, we are going through a lot of trouble with this pandemic situation, but I see a bright India in 2025. Take advantage of it. Plan for it right now. Do it in a small scale, but be ready to scale up. That's what China's advantage is, scale up. So you should also be, once you have it, you are firm, rooted in the ground, look for the high jumps.
On that note, I would close this session. It was a great pleasure to host you here at ELI, and our audience would have definitely got lifetime lessons from this video. Thanks for your time, Sundara, and best wishes for Janani Foods.
Thank you, Priyan. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Looking forward to the YouTube presentation, and any entrepreneur can always call me. Maybe I am sure you will give me the link of my
Yes.
mail ID and mobile number. Any entrepreneur, any budding entrepreneur can always call me. It will be my pleasure to share my opinions. Thank you.
Uh,
Thanks for the opportunity.
Viewers, you can follow Sundar on LinkedIn by typing for Rajan Sampath. Also, do visit their website by typing jananiagriserve.com. So, whom do you want to have here at ELI for next episode? Do let me know in comments below. We will be back. Stay tuned to ELI.